Hey everyone, George from the F1 Chronicle back again with 5 things that we learned from the Australian Grand Prix. And what an Australian Grand Prix it was. Absolutely worth getting up for if you're in Europe and getting up super early to watch that one. I think it was 4 o'clock in the morning it was on here in the UK. So yeah, it was a great race, and we can't start anywhere other than with Carlos Sainz, the smooth operator himself. Wow! 2 weeks ago, the man couldn't even compete in Formula One because he was having his appendix removed. And today, he's won the race. And it didn't really look in any kind of threat for it, to be honest. I mean, as soon as Verstappen retired early on, which we will get to very shortly, he looked in complete control. Charles Leclerc was, a decent gap behind him. He didn't look like he was a man who was on the operating table just 2 weeks ago. And he's the focus of my opinion piece, my weekly opinion piece for F1Chronicle.com that you can find online at the moment. And that's what we've put up. And he's showing that he is the most underappreciated and underrated driver in Formula One right now. And I go into a lot of detail about that in the opinion piece on F1Chronicle.com that you can find right now. Obviously, because, he's been dropped from Ferrari for next year. And the question has to be asked, and I've asked it a few times as well, how Ferrari dropped the wrong driver? Well, you can find out more in that article. Next up, we need to talk about the guy who everybody thought was going to win the race, who I thought was going to win the race today. Max Verstappen. He was going for 10 wins in a row, and it did not get off to the well, it just didn't happen for him, did it really, to be honest? He got off the line well. He qualified on pole position yesterday. Seemed like he was going to win the race today, but a couple of laps into the race, he had some sort of mechanical issue, literally an explosive issue on the back of his car. Ended up with him retiring after about 4 or 5 laps. It's his first retirement from an F1 race in 2 years. The last time he retired was at this track in 2022 when he had mechanical issues. So obviously he went on to kind of romp the championship and still win that year. And I expect him still to win again this year. But, that's really put the cat amongst the pigeons. And it's put a blemish onto that Red Bull car that, we didn't think existed really. It is not bulletproof reliability. So it'll be very interesting to see how they get on in what will be the longest Formula One season in history as we go through the year. I also want to speak about Mercedes as well. They're in trouble, quite frankly. So Sir Lewis Hamilton didn't really have too much pace this weekend at all, but still retiring with a mechanical issue. The only other mechanical retirement in the race other than Verstappen was Sir Lewis Hamilton. And George Russell looked like he was on for some points. Not great points, but still points. But yeah, he crashed out. That car is a bit of a diva, as they say in Formula One. Mercedes in trouble. And it's kind of compounded by the fact that McLaren are doing so well. 3rd and 4th place today. Lando Norris, the fastest non-Ferrari driver, as it turned out today, getting on the podium. Oscar Piastri, a great performance in his home race to finish 4th. Some team orders coming in there that caused a bit of controversy. Piastri having to move out of the way of Norris, but I do understand it personally from a purely racing perspective. Sergio Perez was bearing down on them. And would have been a lot closer, so it could have jeopardised them in that sense. But the Aussie fans, they're still waiting to see one of their drivers up on the podium legitimately. Obviously, Ricciardo getting a podium provisionally in 2014, but he was later disqualified. So they're still waiting for that, the Aussie fans. I do feel for them, I really do. And the last of the 5 things I want to talk about really is Haas. Now, Haas, again, got lucky today with the retirements, you could say, but they were there. Double points today. Points for both Hulkenberg and Kevin Magnussen today. They're kind of solidifying themselves as a team that could really upset the order. But Yuki Tsunoda's 8th place today, that'll really put a challenge in. But it does seem as though the Racing Bulls and the Haas, they're going to be fighting it out for 6th place in the Constructors' Championship. But yeah, those are my main takeaways. Those are my 5 things that we learned from the Australian Grand Prix. What a thrilling race. Absolutely worth getting up early this morning. And bring on Japan. Let's see what Suzuka can bring us in 2 weeks' time.